And welcome once again to another episode of the Horizon Roundtable. I am Jimmy. I am not Jimmy Lemke. Holy shit. I am Bob McDonald, and you can find me on Twitter at Bob McDonald. And joining me, of course, is my co-host, who is actually Jimmy Lemke.
Hello, I am actually Jimmy Lemke. I am not Bob McDonald.
Jesus Christ, I don't know what the yeah. This is the kind of day I'm having. Probably because I got a lot of sleep and now I'm still kind of groggy. Anyway,
You
and
probably
also,
just want to be me.
oh yeah. Oh, apparently so. And also joining us is our other co-host, Matt Dudek.
Hey there, everybody. I am not Bob or Jimmy.
He's not Bob or Jimmy. Jimmy you can find on Twitter at PantherU, and Matt you can find on Twitter at GrizzTalkOU, and you can find the podcast on Twitter as well at HorizonRT. And guys, wow, we just got done with a week of where we posted a lot of stuff on HorizonRoundtable.com because it was premiere week.
It was a pretty big day, pretty big week.
Yeah. Before we get started, obviously, I want to thank everybody who was able to contribute to that to post up this week. John Parker is probably he was all over the place. The guy is a machine. So big thanks to John Parker and also Michael Pierce, Jaden Stambolia, Mark Weems, Carrick Jones, Chris Hart, Kyle Craven. When we started this adventure of getting all of these, starting to put articles and columns up on the site, this is kind of what I envisioned, to have kind of a real solid core of writers. And honestly, just going through all of their stuff, it looks like these guys came through in spades. So I can't thank these guys enough. So. Anyway, but the big takeaway, obviously, from Premiere Week is it's pretty clear that the consensus favorite within all of us is Wright State, and the consensus 9 and 10 are Cleveland State at 10 and IUPUI at 9, and clearly IUPUI is taking umbrage with that a little bit.
I don't understand how Ooey Pooey fans can be really bothered by being
now Jimmy
picked there in the preseason. Now hold on, you lose your coach weeks before the season to like the lamest scandal. I mean, yeah, you got a DUI. Like, okay, so. Yeah, Vaughn Duggan's got suspended 3 games for a DUI. This guy loses his job.
Jimmy, as you know, and unless IUPUI and IUPUI fans magically appeared, it wasn't them actually taking umbrage with it. It was actually the players.
Yeah, whatever.
Well, if you think about it, obviously, if you're a player on a team and I'm sure this is going to be bulletin board material for them, as John Parker pointed out, by the way, and he was very excited about that because he's the one who wrote the preview.
Well, I'll say this: when John and I were in the student section at Milwaukee,
yeah, and
I was posting stuff on the Post, on the UWM Post, the student newspaper, or later on Panther U. Mm-hmm. These kids on the other teams, they read that stuff.
Yeah.
So they're out there, they're reading it, and that they take exception to it.
Oh sure, absolutely.
I mean, there was a time where I slammed Youngstown State in I think it was my 06-07 preview.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the players got a dunk and points at me in the student section. I'm like, what? I didn't. That was when I was 19, 20 years old, and I'm realizing for the first time that people actually read what you say online.
Yeah. Yes.
Really, it lends some credibility to what we're doing. I mean, if these guys are reading it and it's pissing them off like it should be, I mean, hey, IUPUI team, if you don't like it, prove it this year, because what we're seeing says you're not going to be very good. So if we're wrong, cool, show us.
There you go.
They've got they've got real strong bulletin board material, as we say.
Absolutely.
I said this on Twitter. At the day that you need anybody else to give you your bulletin board material to make you better, your team already sucks. If you really care that much what we say and that's the motivation you need, you're doing it wrong, man. Go win because you want to win.
Yeah, but
they do have some.
Yeah, incidentally, nobody from Cleveland State said anything. Nobody from Cleveland State said anything.
I will say that they do have some reason to look up. I mean, Marcus Burke looks like a player.
Yeah.
I don't know how much. I don't know how much he's going to be able to create space on his own is he really going to be asked to be a primary scorer? He wouldn't have been if Cam Justice were still there, but he might be. I mean, he did. He did do really well, but Clemens also was drawing a lot of the attention at Campbell. So if Burke's going to be able to take that next step as a player and really lead IUPUI and get them out of the cellar, or at least get them out of the the preseason prognostication cellar, then he's going to have to be able to create on his own. Yeah, I don't know anything about Byron Rim's coaching style because he is interim.
Sure,
we don't know what kind of changes he's making.
Mm-hmm.
If he's doing the same style, if he's just doing the same style of play that Coach Gardner was doing, I'm not sure that that's really a recipe for winning.
Well,
it is a recipe for getting one guy a lot of numbers,
or
so
worse,
Burke
unless
yeah.
I mean,
I'm just saying Burke might be a fantasy basketball star.
Well, at the same time, I mean, maybe Burke probably compensates for the loss of Justice, but who compensates for DJ McCall and Evan Hall graduating? Who does that? I mean, that's a good question. Obviously they have they have people, they have guys coming back. I mean, they got the 6th man of the year, Jalen Manette, coming back. So I mean, but yeah, it just seems to me that loss of Jason Gardner's and maybe Byron Rim will take what he's learned from his years of coaching at Prairie View A&M, preferably not the last season he coached, and surprise some people. But I think we've talked about this a couple of times over the past over multiple episodes, is that even if IUPUI kind of exceeds expectations, you still have kind of a blanket over 2 through 8. I mean, if you look at each and every one of these teams right now, you could make an argument for them each and every one from 2 through 8. You can make an argument for each and every one of them to be in the top tier of the Horizon League. You really could.
I agree.
And I think, and it's crazy that and I'm sure there's been some discussion about kind of where we slotted everybody in our preseason predictions, but I mean, at the same time, you never know. I mean, remember last year, 3 through 8, we could throw a blanket over them. So it's gonna be. I'm gonna be very interested in seeing that. And again, there's a lot of different X factors involved in that. And incidentally, and I'm sure that I know that this has been a discussion of us having UIC pick second. I know that has been a point of discussion. And I will say this myself personally. I actually myself had a UIC pick number 2. And I had UIC pick number 2 just because of the primarily because, you still have one of the best backcourts in the conference in Marcus Otte and in Tarkus Ferguson. And as I understand it correctly, I think somebody pointed out, it might have been Rick Neaton, who pointed out that Jordan Blunt may actually be back by the time the conference slate starts, which would be huge for them. Because
So go ahead, finish it up. Sorry.
Yeah, because Jordan Blunt is Loudon Love's kryptonite.
I was just going to say, I also had UIC second, which is I'm not a huge proponent of UIC usually because I don't trust McLean, but it's tough to root against these guys. I mean, it's tough to say that they're going to fall, especially if they get Blunt back. It's hard to say no to them, you know?
Yeah. So, yeah.
I don't know. To me, the Steve McLean has been able to through the end of the Moore era, using those players as a jumping off point, and then continuing on his own. Steve McLean is a great recruiter and has brought in a lot of talent, but I haven't seen all of these players.
Yeah. Seem
to be very good individual players. I mean, a lot of them can be you want to one off the dribble. A lot of them, and a good array of players. Sometimes he's been a little guard heavy, which isn't totally bad for the Horizon League, but
not bad at all.
But the fact of the matter is, he's never been able to put it together. Yeah. So, in what year is this? 4 or 5 now for Steve McLean?
This is year 4 for him.
So year 4, for Steve McLean. This is the year where you expect things to put up or shut up. But I will say that because of what time of year he wasn't the one that took over late in the offseason. It was Howard Moore that did, right?
That's correct. Yeah.
So then this would be the year.
Yeah. This has to be the year for
maybe you give him another year to do it, but he's had the time. These guys who are seniors now, who've made it to the end of the road with UIC, these guys who've been there for years, he's been able to have his recruits cycle in and out. I don't know if you just can the guy if he doesn't do it, but I think we're at the point where you can confidently say what Steve McLean is.
Yeah.
He's a hell of a recruiter. That's really
absolutely. Absolutely.
I mean, and let's be clear. No matter who steps up, their front court took a massive hit.
Yeah.
Losing Ty Odiasi and losing Dikembe Dixon
absolutely
is not. You don't recover from that unless you've got a huge 4-star recruit that can jump in there and be great right away.
Yeah.
And the good thing is that the Horizon League tends to be one of those conferences where a strong big man can come in as a freshman or a JUCO and immediately be an impact player and one of the best in the conference.
As proven by Drew McDonald and Loudon Love.
Sure.
Yeah.
Matt Tybee as a sophomore at UWM, sophomore JUCO transfer was one. Jordan Faust was pretty impactful immediately.
Anton Grady, I mean, he was starting as a freshman.
Yeah, and the list really goes on.
Yeah.
I mean, we could probably pick guys for pretty much every program in the conference, both those that are still here and those that are departed. I mean, I can think back to Loyola. Andy Polka was a big time star as a freshman at Loyola.
He was.
This is a conference where you can do that. Yeah. Does UIC have that guy? Is a guy like Braylon Bridges gonna be that guy? I don't know. He's skinny.
Yeah.
He's just. Yeah.
And again, this does kind of now and again. And the other part about Steve McLean too is remember that he's probably going to be spending this season because I believe this is the second to last. He's got one more year left on his contract after this. But he also will be trying to impress a new boss because they're going to have a new athletic director over there. So,
and you know what happens with athletic directors? They all want their own guy.
Exactly.
That's what they all do.
Yeah.
Sometimes they do their job and try and make things work, and if it doesn't work, they move on.
And other times you're Mike Thomas from Cleveland State.
Or sometimes you're like the owner of the Indians in Major League. You're Rachel Phelps, and you're taking away charter planes and replacing it with a bus that's breaking down.
Or in a more recent, or you're Dan Snyder of the Washington Redskins.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're Greg Kampe and you just outlive all of your 80s.
Yeah, that's true. You could do that. That's true. I'm not sure Stephen McLean has that wherewithal to do that though. I'm just kind of throwing that out there. I don't think that's going to be possible, but yeah, that was kind of my thought process on that, and the other thing too that we were, and this is the other, obviously, we've got UIC, and then, it seemed, I guess we should feel unoriginal by the fact that we are one of many people who have predicted Wright State to be at the top of the Horizon League this year, but I mean, if you look at them and look at everybody else, I mean, can you understand why?
Yeah.
I mean, they probably, Wright State probably, it's no wonder everybody's got them picked at the top of the thing, and they've got such a solid core, guys.
Here, 5 minutes ago.
Yes.
5 minutes ago, I say that Steve McLean, we know who he is as a coach.
Uh-huh.
We know that he's good at recruiting. We know he can get individual talent.
Yeah.
We also know that he hasn't been able to put it together in a team setting yet.
Yeah.
To be able to get high enough to win a conference. I feel like they've had the talent. I feel like they've had the individual talent to do that.
Sure.
To get there.
Oh, without a doubt.
They haven't been able to put it together as a team. So, on the counter, Wright State, we know what kind of coach they've got.
Oh, absolutely. We've known that. We knew that before he even got to the league. I mean, this is Scott Nagy. I mean, Wright State was able to plug him from South Dakota State, for crying out loud. He's the one who recruited Mike Daum, isn't he?
South Dakota for what? He was South Dakota State's coach for like 24 years or something like that.
Yeah.
And he shepherded them through going from being the lower, I think it was Division II, being Division II, truly strong power national program, to getting to that transition to Division I, having that rocky few years. By the way, pointing out that there was a new athletic director that saw that he was having a rocky few years and didn't pull the plug on him, and had confidence in him. And what happened?
Sure.
South Dakota State turned it around. They built the program. They got strong enough to the point where he's getting NBA players, like Nate
Wolters,
Nate Wolters, he recruited. He's the one that's the guy who brought Mike Daum there.
Yes.
So he's just. And they got to the NCAA tournament.
Yes.
I think what you have to know about him too, like obviously as an Oakland person, we watched South Dakota State come into the summit and didn't know what we had coming in. And what I think you need to realize is South Dakota State is just now starting to become average to the lower side of the summit because Nagy's been gone for 3-4 years now, whatever it's been. Like, he built such a program that they ran strong even after he left.
Yeah.
Right. And here's the thing: is that they hired T.J. Otzelberger to be his replacement. And not to get too far away from the Horizon League for a second, but T.J.'s reputation, and this is something that it's hard to explain to people in Milwaukee. We expected him to leave.
Yeah.
You expect a guy like Otzelberger to drop out, and as soon as he was able to,
which he
took
just
the next
did,
bus
actually.
to Vegas. Right. That's my point.
Yeah.
Is that he was going to ride out the strength of South Dakota State until he couldn't anymore. Milwaukee was a bit of a different thing because he's from here.
Yeah.
But because I don't remember. Maybe I've told you only 6,000 times. He did. I mean, he was told he had the job.
Yeah.
And then they pulled it out from under him and gave it to Val Jordan. But for South Dakota State, it was, this is a team that's ready to go. Let's get to the tournament. And he used it as his bouncing off point to move up. So part of it's, they're getting farther away from Nagy. Part of it is that now they have, they don't have the continuity. So of course they're going to start falling back in the Summit League. So it's all the more proof that Scott Nagy is an excellent program builder. It's all the more proof that in that 2016 spring, when we were all trashing Amanda Braun in Milwaukee, and they were all trashing Bob Grant at Wright State, is why at the end of the day, Bob Grant knew what he was doing.
Yeah,
because
true.
Bob Grant had the confidence from his from his university administration to go out and make that hire. And I mean, I don't know if he was the one that made the absolute choice to get Scott Nagy, but he's gonna be the one that gets the credit here. I mean, he understood what he had, and he went out and got Nagy, and look what happens. Nagy's continuing the build.
Yeah,
Wright State is a place where if they can keep Nagy for a while, he is going to take that place to the next level.
Sure.
I mean, continual NCAA tournament appearances, not just one every 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
And truthfully, as great of a program as Wright State is, NCAA tournament one out of every 4 or 5 years is better than what they've been doing. There's an argument that between Brownell and Billy, and obviously before that and everything, like you go back to Mr. ESPN and all the way back to the 90s. Like they've always they've been a strong program because they're in a market that they can succeed in, but they've never had somebody who's had the pedigree and talent of Scott Nagy to do his job.
Yeah.
So if I'm a Wright State fan, I am incredibly excited about this year, and I'm incredibly excited about the near future.
Well, yeah, because if you look at their, even though, I mean, let's be honest, you do have, while and you look at that roster of Wright State right now, you've got a mix of upperclassmen and really talented freshmen in there as well. I mean, because you obviously have, for example, you've got Billy Wampler, you've got Loudon Love, you've got Cole Gentry, they also brought in a couple of grad transfers too. They've got that Alexander Dosage, who came in, and he's a senior, and they also got Jordan Nash.
Jalen, yeah.
But but at the same time, they also have guys like Jalen Hall and Skylar Potter.
Did Jalen Hall play at all last year?
I don't think he did. I
think he was out the entire year.
Yeah,
correct.
And they got that grad transfer from Northwestern too,
Jordan Nash,
who's not like a big numbers guy.
No.
But he plugs a hole.
But yeah, again, when you have Cole Gentry, Billy Wampler, and Skylar Potter in there, you can.
Well, I think Wright State is built as like the best quintessential Horizon team. That's what we're all seeing. If you take any of those players and put them on, a Big Ten team, could they would just be there's not a superstar. Loudon Love isn't a superstar. He does well on the Horizon, but he's not, he's not an NBA prospect or anything. He'll make some money in Europe if he wants it, whatever he wants. But that's how that team is built. But that they have all the pieces, and that's what you need to win in this league.
Yeah.
They don't need a superstar. You don't need a Kendrick Nunn, on a 1 year, 1 year play. Like
and that's how. And not to, just assume things and throw it for. And this isn't to knock Campy and Oakland.
Yeah.
But, I've used the term program guys to describe certain players at Milwaukee who have been, long-term bridging the gap players. And you don't have a lot of program guys at Oakland, especially this offseason was just nuts for them. Having all these guys jump away. But this is what happens when you build a lot of transfers.
Sure.
When you build a lot of JUCOs. Is that how you build a program is you build based around a few guys that you've recruited and gotten them to come play for you, and say they're going to give you their college years when they're 17 years old. They get there when they're 18. They go through they go through 4 years where maybe they're not stars from the beginning, but you mold them into the player you want them to be. So that by the time they're seniors, they've been there for so long, and they're the ones that really carry the culture of the program. And then you plug the holes with JUCO players.
No.
Well, I mean, how often do Horizon League teams that get star players in transfer, star player has a reason to come, that team they're coming to has minutes and will let them be the star? How many times do those players really teams to NCAA tournaments and beyond? And for look at Oakland specifically. Oakland fans, Matt, you're an Oakland fan.
Yes,
are you more of a Kendrick Nunn guy or a Kay Felder guy?
Are you talking when they were at Oakland or currently? Because my opinions have changed.
Well, I'm talking about at Oakland. I'm not talking about. I don't want to talk about any of the. Yeah. I don't have all the information about what's been going on with Felder.
I don't involved with the info either. I'm more of a Kay Felder guy because he came through Oakland. He was an Oakland guy. We're Nunn transferred in. Absolutely.
Right. Mm-hmm. So the way that Nagy's building the program, I mean, here's the other thing. He's only had this is year 3.
Yeah.
Or something for him.
Yeah.
Is it 3? 16, 17, 17, 18, 18, 19. So this is year 4, actually.
Yeah, this is year 4. I'm sorry.
So this is year 4. Then McLean isn't. This is not year 4 for McLean. It's year 5 or 6.
Okay.
I'm just saying McLean didn't start in 2016.
No,
it doesn't matter.
Oh, God.
Anyways, this is irrelevant. The point I'm trying to make is, Wright State, Loudon Love, who was not recruited to play at Wright State by Scott Nagy. Neither was, I was going to say Parker Ernsthausen, but didn't he graduate?
He already graduated, yes.
Right. So it's
Cole Gentry would probably, because I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I don't think Cole Gentry. Well, maybe he was. So let me. Speaking of Loudon,
it did suck losing Malachi Smith.
Yeah, it did.
Because I felt like Malachi Smith was going to be one of those guys, one of those program guys for Wright State, and he just ups and transfers to UT Martin or something.
Yeah. But that was kind of an oddball transfer though, because if you look at everything else, you look at all the up and down the rest of the Wright State roster, that's pretty much all. Besides him transferring and Parker Ernsthausen graduating. Well, Parker Ernsthausen and Mark Hughes, their core is still so solid. And I want to ask something. I've got to ask about Loudon Love, because as of right now, Loudon Love is a junior, and I believe is he a junior? He's God, I want to say, did he redshirt 1 year? I want to say he did.
I did not think so, unless there was an injury. I thought I remembered him playing as a freshman.
Okay. So
I thought he was. I thought he was a senior this year.
No, he is according
he's
to
a
Wright
junior
State,
eligibility.
He's got according to Wright State, he's a junior. I'm trying to remember. Did he redshirt a year? And I don't know where. I don't know how.
Maybe he was recruited by Nagy. I don't know. One of our Wright State fans will let us know on Twitter.
Oh, I'm sure they will. But I was trying to figure that one out because, man, that's
I do have a correction for myself. It wasn't UT Martin that Malachi Smith transferred to. It was Chattanooga.
Okay.
So he's hanging out with Mr. Belding.
And he's also hanging out with Steph Kenich.
Really?
I think that's where Steph Kenich transferred to.
Hey, so Loudon Love is a junior. He redshirted in 16-17, so that would have been. Yep.
Okay. So that actually leads me to the next question. Does Loudon Love grad transfer?
Yes.
Okay.
No.
Really? You don't think so?
No.
Okay. So what makes you think he's not going to grad transfer?
Program guy.
Okay.
You can you Matt said it before. Loudon Love is not a guy with NBA prospects.
Yeah.
So what do you gain from transferring? Being a 5th-year transfer and maybe not. He is a guy who succeeds at a Horizon League level. If he's a guy that goes to, a middling SEC team like Arkansas, were to under the table offer him a bag of money to go play. Sure, you get paid a little bit. Sure, you get to play in front of SEC. You get to play Kentucky. You get to play LSU. But what does he actually gain personally from doing that, rather than finishing things up with Wright State where he committed and he's been his entire college career, possibly winning another championship, going to the NCAA tournament, and being a key cog, if not the star of said team, which he would not be wherever he would go as a fifth-year transfer.
So here's the other side of that, Jimmy. I'm not saying you're wrong, Jimmy. I see that side. Here's the other way it plays out: is if Wright State does what they're supposed to do this year, they win, they go to the NCAA tournament. Loudon Love sees it for the second time they've been previously. Yep. So it'd be second time. So now that he's done with school, he's got his degree, he transfers back home to, I don't know, we'll call it Illinois in the Big Ten, where he knows he's not going to be the star, but he wants to bet on himself to get some more looks, whether it's NBA or Europe, and be closer to home for one more season of basketball.
Where is he? He's from Illinois?
Yeah, he's from Illinois.
Yeah.
Where in Illinois is he from?
Geneva.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wherever
that may be. Where is it? Yeah. I don't have Google Maps up, so I'm not sure where Geneva is.
Geneva's not far from. It's Kane County.
Okay.
So it's not far from Chicago. You're talking about it's right by St. Charles. For people who are not familiar with Illinois, you are right by Aurora, Illinois, where Wayne's World is based. That is where you're right between Elgin and Aurora, I think, is where. It's been a while since I've been to Geneva. My cousin lived in Naperville. He worked for EA Sports. He lived in Naperville for a while, and I'm pretty sure that. I remember Geneva being right by Naperville.
Okay.
So I think it's a little further from Chicago, but yeah.
So he's probably Chicago. Yeah. So it's
a west suburb of Chicago.
Yes. So yeah, I mean, yeah, if he wants to go to but that would also be contingent upon Illinois not being a complete train wreck too, because right now Illinois is kind of a train wreck still. But I mean, it's up to him. I mean, it's and well, I mean, we always we've gotten to the point now where we expect our kind of red shirts, our red shirt juniors to make the transition to grad transfer. But let's face it, that doesn't always seem to be the case. Perfect an example being Cole Gentry, who is also a redshirt senior this year. Did he have options? I don't know, but he didn't go anywhere.
We have two at Oakland. If you want to make the transition and talking about them next.
Yes, yeah, I would like to, because they are but before I do, I gotta ask. Apparently Loudon Love has changed his look a little bit. I don't know if you've seen the roster photos.
What is that?
I don't know. He's got cornrows now.
I didn't know. I gave Matt Tybee all kinds of shit when he got his cornrows, and he's a good sport about it. So I hope Loudon Love can take a joke, because he's gonna have a lot of them lobbed at him as long as he's wearing those cornrows.
Cornhead.
I loved Allen Iverson when I was a teenager. Allen Iverson was my favorite NBA player because he could just take a beating, and
yeah,
I'm sure I'm not the only one that was like that. So I mean, I never got cornrows because I knew I would look stupid.
Yeah.
But maybe Loudon Love doesn't have as much self-awareness as I did when I was a teenager.
Don't care. Maybe he likes it and he's rocking it and he's happy and cool, man. You do you.
Yeah, exactly. Whatever.
Hey.
I'm not going to talk shit about someone who's going to put 20 and 10 on me this year. No?
You're damn right. He might start a new trend. You never know.
No bullets, more material.
Maybe he saw. Maybe he was looking through history and he saw Norris Cole with the flat top and realized, hey, maybe I can rock this too, and bring some stuff back. I don't know.
And one more thing, we've mentioned the name a couple times for Wright State. Before we move to Oakland, I will say that Billy Wampler does stretch the floor for them.
Oh, he does.
So guys that can put it on the floor. Which Cole Gentry is more of like a floor general kind of guy.
Exactly.
But ball handlers get space from having shooters like Wampler.
Yeah.
So the better Wright State can, the better year Billy Wampler does, has the better year Wright State's going to have. Because if you have a legitimate outside threat that's that good, then you're going to see Loudon Love's going to have a little bit more space. Other players are going to have a little more space to be able to work. And that's one reason I was kind of disappointed that Malachi Smith left, because I thought he was a guy that would have been able to benefit tremendously this year from having floor stretchers.
True indeed. So yeah,
Oakland's like a new team.
Almost yeah. Well, I mean, you still have still got
Xavier Hilmays
and Brad Brechting.
Brechting.
So let me tell you. Let me break this down real quick for you guys. Let me take Oakland here. So Campy had his conies in practice 2 Sundays ago now, like a week ago. Yeah, it was last week. First off, big crowd. It was like 600-700 people to eat some conies and watch like an hour and a half of like semi-practice. Like that was cool to see. What I loved about this team, and it's what I expected, the bigs are really good. And I mean, granted, it's practice, whatever. But when you're talking Xavier Hilmays, redshirt senior, talking Brad Brechting, redshirt senior, and the transfer Daniel Oladapo from Georgia, Florida area, South.
Yes.
He was bigger than I even realized. Really nice. I got to talk to him for a minute. Those 3 on the floor at the same time are going to be trouble if Oakland has a point guard, and if Oakland has a point guard, they can challenge Wright State. I promise. If they don't get point guard play, it doesn't matter. Trey Maddox can spread the floor. He's a really good wing. He definitely put on a lot of weight. He looks stronger, which I mean, he's only going into his sophomore year. He's someone that I worry about transferring someday because Rothstein was in from CBS a couple weeks ago, and he said that's Oakland's next NBA prospect, and I don't doubt it. He's a very talented wing. But right now, point guard from Canada, Kevin Kangu, is running the point to start. And Kangu is a good shooter.
He's got size too.
He does well, and that's the thing I keep saying, that Oakland's going to try to do different than everybody else. When Oakland came into the league, everybody shit on Oakland because they were trying to play fast, and you can't win in the Horizon that way. Now everybody's playing that way, and Oakland's flipped. Oakland's going, hey, we got to play big. We're going to slow things down. We're going to play big. We're playing defense. Yes. Oakland's going to play defense, believe it or not. And, I mean, unless they get in foul trouble or injuries, and if they get point guard play, this team is really dangerous. Despite all the transfers, and I got to talk to Coach Campy for a few minutes afterwards, I really appreciated it was normal Greg Campy, very candid, very honest about a lot of things. And he mentioned the transfers. I asked him about it. And he actually only had issue with one of those transfers. And it was not the one that I have issue with. His only one that really bothered him was Javen Cumberland, because after the Northern Kentucky loss, all 3 seniors agreed, hey, let's finish this. And all of a sudden, Cumberland flipped his script. He said the Norris one is the one that's bothered me, and he said, you know what? A lot of kids, their freshman year after college, they decide it's not where they want to be. Who am I to tell a kid that he's wrong or to try to keep him from that? Like, he signed off on that waiver. Good luck to him. And you know what? If Coach is cool with that, I accept that. I don't have an issue with the Cumberland transfer, but Coach does. Cool, whatever. But this Oakland team is going to be very good if they can get point guard play. And that is, of course, a huge if. But they have all the other pieces, and they are bigger than any team consistently. Wow. I mean, when you're talking 2 redshirt bigs plus a junior college big, and that doesn't include Babatunde Suume, who's only going to be a sophomore. And again, Rothstein said, and it was kind of cool to see it in writing, he said something like, this dude looks like he was chiseled from ice. He's just so thick and so good. And, I mean, he's going to rebound a lot. He's not going to put the ball in. But he's going to be a depth guy, like, that's cool.
Yeah.
So that's my open down. Whew.
Yeah. So, actually, I was going to ask you about Rashad Williams, but I'm not sure I want to go there.
I mean, honestly, the only thing I can tell you is I don't think any of this is things I'm not allowed to talk about. So Campy talked about signing off on waivers. Vogt from Northern Kentucky all of a sudden is eligible at Cincinnati, which
that is weird. Yeah, that is interesting that this is, and that's something new that I've never seen before. Usually, it's always ever been, if you transfer, you're sitting out a year. Period. So it kind of blows me away that. You're seeing waivers from a Braden Norris or a Chris Vogt. I mean, it's kind of weird.
Oakland's preparing as if Williams isn't going to play because Cleveland State doesn't want to sign off on that one, so they've got an extra work to do. Yeah, so new coach, new AD that had nothing to do with Williams, but they're not going to sign off on it, and that's pretty lame. But, I mean, in conference, whatever. So they're preparing as if Williams won't play this year. He's a bonus. If he plays, that team's even more dangerous. just add the shooter.
Yeah.
So,
oh, and by the way, he can run point too.
Yeah, exactly. And he
actually was supposed to run point. I mean, he was supposed to be running more point than he did last year. But obviously, when you have Cash Thomas and Tyree Appleby, you don't necessarily have to run point all the time. But you saw a little bit of that though too when both of them were hurt. That he was running the point, and he did pretty damn good. So
he was running the point for the scout team on Sunday, which was cool to see. Gettelfinger was backing up on point guard. He's one of the freshmen. He's one of the freshmen that wasn't a late guy, but they signed him early as I think a sophomore. White dude from Tennessee that they've been saying is kind of like Pete Rose.
Pete Rose.
Wow, wrong Pete. Maravich, like Pistol Pete, like he's throwing these just crazy passes, and they've got to kind of rein him in. But kid's got floor vision, and he throws some really nice passes. Like they got to teach him when. But it was cool to watch this team. I feel really good about them, which is not everybody else's thoughts, but I feel good about Oakland, and I don't always say that.
So, but yeah, that makes sense. I mean, and speaking of Northern Kentucky, I know we've got them slated. We've got them slated third. They still have, they did honestly, they did lose Drew McDonald, huge piece. They lost Chris Vogt, obviously a huge piece for them. John Brandon is out. They've got Darren Horn in, but they've still got Jalen Tate. They still got Tyler Sharp. I mean, did we rank them too high? I don't think we did. I really don't think we did.
I was told, I think established guys. So Valhalla yelled at me and asked if I was high because I admitted that I actually have Northern Kentucky 7th.
Really?
And here's the thing. They don't have any size, and I think this league is going to be about size, where the difference is going to be made. When you're talking Oakland, you're talking Loudon Loves, I think the guard play is going to be very consistent in this league.
Sure.
So I think that's kind of a wash. And so then I start to look at the bigs, and Northern Kentucky doesn't have any. I think Tate is very good. I had him, I think, first team. Yeah. I think very highly of him. I don't think as highly of Sharp, and everyone thinks I'm just being a dick, and I'm not. I think he's a great player. I wish he was on my team, but he's not somebody that you want to be one of your most important pieces. He's a cog, but you don't want him running. He got his because there were so many other things you had to worry about. When you actually have to game plan for Tyler Sharp, I don't think he's going to get as much. I'm not worried about it when he's one of the pieces you're focusing on. He's dangerous when you have to leave him because you're doubling Drew McDonald. That's sure, Tyler Sharp will do it, but when he's one of the pieces you have to focus on, I don't think he's good this year. Huh. So I can't see where Northern Kentucky is going to be great this year. I have him 7th.
No, wow, okay, that's I do think that that Tyler Sharp is that the pieces that they have together right now, I think are again. But again, I don't think
a 7th place prediction makes sense. I'm sorry, go ahead. I didn't mean to
but at the same time, if you look, but it makes sense in the fact that when you look at 2 through 8, if one thing breaks wrong or breaks right for any one of these teams, you could have any one of them slated way higher or way lower than we do now. I mean, for all we know, everything will break right and Youngstown State will be finishing second. I don't know. I mean, but but between 2 and 8, that's kind of that's kind of what I what I see in this league. I mean, we've got what we've predicted, but again, there could be so many things that go right or so many things that go wrong where that would be the case. And there's going to be a surprise team. There always is. I mean, let's face it, last year, and by the way, we did pick Antoine Davis to be Player of the Year. Did we expect Detroit Mercy to win any games last year? No, we absolutely didn't. So, I think that's something to take into consideration no matter what.
A lot of that just comes from the who do you not know anything about, and I think that most people don't know about Oakland because of how many players they just don't that are just new.
Yeah.
Well, no one's picking, and I don't blame anybody. If I wasn't as close to the program as I try to be, I probably wouldn't feel as good about it either. I get it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and again, there are so many unknown quantities that we don't know about. I mean, look at Cleveland State and all their unknown quantities. I mean, I'm not saying they're going to do anything this year because they probably aren't, but I mean, you never know, man.
Do we even know who's going to be on the floor with Antoine Davis on Detroit Mercy this year?
We do. Yes, actually, they actually released the roster, and I think Carrick did his big old bids preview,
right,
and he basically had the entire list of everybody who's going to be on this roster with Antoine Davis this year. So I can't really tell who they are, but
Well, I mean, we have the roster, but I don't think we really know who.
No,
the starting five is going to like. I mean, we know Antoine Davis is going to be good. Like,
yeah.
But then what?
And then of course they still got the APR ban, and it's the NTA is taking forever to get it together. I don't think they're going to get it doesn't look like they're going to make a decision until the season starts. So we can keep talking about it, which is fine because then we can keep talking about it.
I mean, they're just even if they flip it, all it is right now is they're just losing practice time.
Yeah, they are, and that's yeah. I mean, what are you going to do?
Does Carrick have any eligibility?
He might still have some eligibility left. I don't think he played, so he's got to be available.
Possibly, I don't know. So, with that, yes, Carrick, your alma mater needs you, and I also know, yeah. So, I think, yeah. So, if I understand it correctly, he's applying for grad school there too. So, yeah, hey, your alma mater needs you there, Carrick. Although I think he's got a lot going on the soccer side, so
he's got the soccer stuff for sure.
Yeah, he's got a lot of soccer stuff for sure. So yeah, maybe that's a priority for him, and obviously, yeah, I understand. So anyway, with that said, we kind of want to wrap up the show. So you guys might be wondering why I got both Matt and Jimmy on today. So Jimmy's obviously been with us since the very beginning, since before even I existed on this whole platform. And so, Jimmy, obviously, we've kind of talked about it, and, obviously Jimmy will jump in from time to time, but, Jimmy, can you explain this a little better than me?
I'm not going to be co-hosting the podcast anymore.
Yeah, that's it. Not full time, at least. So,
you don't have to make it more than it is. It's not like I'm going to be leaving forever.
Well, I know. That's why I did it. That's why I waited to the last 2 minutes. And
I haven't been able to commit the full amount of time to the podcast that I would like to be able to do. So there have been plenty of weeks where I've been fully available. So we figure that it's better if I'm more of a, guest spot person.
Yeah.
On the show rather than somebody who's, billed on the top and seen as like a co-host and all that. Like it's not gonna work from our angle. Like I'm not doing it any favors if I'm like, one of the main people of the show. So obviously we were looking, Bob looked around, it was Bob's decision on who to, be his co-host. And I'm really glad that he's made the choice that he did, because somebody who's reliable and can speak and knows the conference and is very good and will be in good hands. I mean, I want to make sure that the Horizon Roundtable, that we started continues.
Yes.
Continues and never really stops, because this conference never stops. Things move on. People grow and change, and I can't commit as much time to this as I'd like to make this worthwhile for everybody.
But you're not entering the transfer portal, right, Jimmy?
You're not entering the transfer.
I'm not entering the transfer
portal. We're not gonna hear you on a Missouri Valley Conference podcast at any point, are we?
You might. I don't know. Depends. There's more of the Horizon League joins the Missouri Valley. It very well just might.
There you go.
No, it's a. I'll be, even if Milwaukee were to somehow become, if Milwaukee were to somehow find their shit and get it together.
Yeah.
and all of a sudden they're in the Missouri Valley Conference, I'll still be involved with Horizon Roundtable. That's not going to be I'm not going away from that. This is my conference. So I'm more than happy to step aside, let somebody else take the reins, and then I can jump in as needed. But I do want to thank everybody for listening over the years. I appreciate everybody who takes their time to follow these programs and be fans of programs that truly don't get the support they deserve.
Yeah. But
they get it from us. I really appreciate everybody who does that, because a lot of these players, these coaches, they work very hard to represent our alma maters and really make things great for them, great for everybody. I really enjoyed my time being a Milwaukee fan. I'm always going to be a Milwaukee fan. I've always going to root for Horizon League schools when they're not playing Horizon League teams. I'm very happy that we have this conference that everybody's been really a part of, and I'm glad that I could be a part of this in my small way of being a co-host on Horizon Roundtable, on running PantherU.com for so many years, on being the sports editor of the Post and running the student section, and being, getting to know people who are, truly great people. So I don't want to make this seem like this is like some goodbye. Like I'll probably be on the podcast once or twice in the next month. It's not going to be I'm not going away, but I am dropping out of my spot as like a co-host. Yeah. And Bob really carries the load as far as the website and everything. Running that, editing that. So I wish you all the best of luck in moving on with that. I don't know how much time we've got left of the podcast.
Though we're nearing the end.
Yeah.
But from my standpoint, obviously, Jimmy, this is we again, you started this to begin with, so never. I can never thank you enough for starting this, and I can't thank you enough for finally we finally have a conversation, you convincing me that, maybe I should be on this, because if you recall in the original history, I was never going to do this ever in my entire life.
Yeah.
But I did. I mean, and, and that we've gotten to this point, and we've gotten to the point where we're on our own standalone website. We're pointing, we have content. We're doing so much right now. I mean, the fact that you even if you haven't been as involved as you may have wanted to, just your involvement has been immeasurable to me, at least.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
So, I'm not going to try. Yeah. So, but and I know you're going to be in Indianapolis. I think we're going to do. You're going to be in Indianapolis for the tournament, and we talked a little bit about kind of what you're going to be doing over there, possibly. But we'll have some further conversations about that as we go along. So, Matt, and obviously not to have not to forget Matt at all or anything. So Matt is now our new co-host. So and again, that he's been able to he. And I identified him early on. He really has, Matt. You've really, you've got such a wealth of knowledge of this league, and you've been able to come in and really pick everything up on the fly, and that's been a huge thing for us. That's been huge for us, because nobody wants to hear me blather on for 45 minutes by myself.
I just want to thank Jimmy for getting us all going, and Bob for having me on, and I'll do my best to kind of keep doing what I've been doing.
Right.
Just playing,
thanks, man.
Hanging out,
All right. So with that, then that's it. We're going to close out the show here. You can find episodes of the Horizon Roundtable always at horizonroundtable.com. You can also find us wherever you find podcasts, and you can find us wherever any kind of. You can also find us on your Amazon or Google devices at any point in time. I keep forgetting. Do we have? It doesn't matter. So that's gonna.
Hey Alexa, play Horizon Roundtable.
There you go. All right. Well, thank you all. So thank you all for listening.